the space that I've kind of found myself in, just from my videos and the audience that I built up, kind of the community that I've just found myself involved with, seems to be filled with a lot of cynicals, a lot of cynics, and that mindset tends to keep a lot of people from reaching their goals. I've never had a very cynical phase in my life. I'm a very optimistic guy. I like to think that, but this goes with almost all walks, and we'll use a romantic lifestyle for an example. If there's somebody who's, we'll use a man too. If there's a man, his entire outlook on women is that they think women are just shit. Like they think women are dumb. They think everything bad about a woman that you typically hear, like they're all OnlyFans people, they're all sleeping around. If there's somebody who believes this way about women and they're like, oh, there's no point in trying to find a woman because they're all shit, right? If they think this way, it's a cope that their brain comes up with to keep them from having to go out and try to attain one. Because with that thought, they don't have to worry about the pain of rejection. They're coping by saying, "Oh, all women are shit, so I don't want one. I don't need to go out and try to get one." Doing that will always keep them from getting one. And whenever they do get one, they're going to basically ignore all they thought before just because they got what they wanted, even though they didn't want to admit it, right? And this goes with almost everything. People who don't want to admit certain things are attainable, they will come up with things like this and just be super cynical about it to keep them having to try. Even if there's they want to start a business and they want to do something crazy that people would normally say, oh, I couldn't do that. That's for people who aren't normal. Things like that. That's a cope to keep them from trying, and they're just being super cynical about it, keeping themselves from having to put in the effort and feel that pain of failure. So the upside of never trying is to never have to feel the pain of failure. So whenever you're doing that, you don't have to feel the pain, sure, but you'll never feel the joy of achieving what you wanted to. Back to the whole thing with girls. Whenever I was younger, I never necessarily had this thought that women were shit. I never really believed that. I do believe men have their benefits, women have their benefits. There's certain things that we're both better at, right? I've always believed that. And I've never had this feeling that all women are whores, all women sleep around. I've never had this belief, but I did kind of cope by thinking there was no good women around me, where I live. I living in a small town. I will say there are a lot of trash people here, and a lot of them go out clubbing and everything. Not necessarily inherently wrong with that, but whenever I was younger, I was thinking there's going to be no good women around here. There's no point in me even trying until I move. And I got my first real girlfriend after that, and basically all those, I realized that I was coping, and I was like, why would I was just doing that to keep myself from going out and feeling that pain. And I necessarily wouldn't admit that, but as the years go by, right, hindsight's 2020, so I can look back and see I was just being a bitch. I was scared to go out and talk to women, so that was my way of not having to go out and do it, right? And there's so many guys who do that in this space. There's so many guys who are oh, women are trash, women are this, all women do OnlyFans now. It's boo. In reality, it's probably less than 1% of women in the world who do OnlyFans. It's just social media and stuff makes you think that way. Excuse me, makes you think that way because you see the girls like that, or you see them that they're the ones who were on social media, showing themselves like that to get more sales or whatever. So you see it more often, and they can alter your perception and make you believe that. And then you got people the Fresh and Fit podcast or whatever. They bring on extremely dumb women, and it makes women seem more dumb, less intelligent, whenever there are intelligent women out there. So it can alter your perception and make you believe that all women are like this. It's shit, I wouldn't want to date a girl like that either. Why would I? If I was the case and they were all like that, yeah, hell no, I just do my thing. But the majority that you meet aren't going to be that way. I'm sure there's a lot that are, but that's where your brain comes in and think, okay, this is a good woman that I would want to be with, right? And again, it's not all about just dating. This goes with everything. If there's a job you want, you're kind of stuck in your job, and you think you have the chance of the interview, there's no point in showing up. There's so many people who are applying. He's more likely to get the job. Just being super cynical like that, bro, you're never going to achieve your goals that way because you're not even giving yourself a chance. But in that process, sure, you don't have to go through the interview process and somebody else gets picked and feel the pain oh, he's better than me. You don't have to feel that pain because you never even tried. So pick your poison. But in my opinion, I would much rather get rejected or feel the pain of failure than, just sitting in comfort and doing something that I hate. So, I don't know, quick little video, but I think it's a good thing to think about. I think it's really important not to be cynical. And I'm a very optimistic person, but I do try to see the bad in things. I don't want to just be purely blinded by the good and think everything is good because in its own way, that's just delusional. But even so, you'd be living a good life thinking that way. If I think everything's good, and not necessarily ignoring the bad, but if I just try to find the good in things, I'm gonna be a generally happier person. But seeing the bad and recognizing it for what it is, but still trying to remain optimistic, it's more realistic, and I feel like I'm better at seeing opportunities that way, and it's a better approach for me. But everybody's different. But I do believe at the end of the day, cynical approach, horrible, but do your own thing. Got any advice from this video? Appreciate you subscribe. Besides that, see you in the next one.